So I actually saw the movie Abigail this weekend, and I was very much looking forward to this movie because I kept on seeing the trailers and I thought it looked like a really fun horror movie with some comedic elements to it. But a huge major factor into why I wanted to see this movie was because it was directed by the guys from Radio Silence. They're a production company that I've been following for a very long time, since like late 2000s. They had this YouTube channel called Chad, Matt, and Rob back in the late 2000s where they did like these interactive videos, and sometimes they would do these horror shorts, very much found footage, which I think that's what caught my interest because I've stated in the past how I love found footage. You probably know a specific video of theirs called Alien Roommate Prank Go Wrong. I think that's what it's called. But essentially, it's them trying to prank their roommate because he's scared of aliens, and an actual alien comes up. They've done another one where it's like a mountain devil one, and these are very comedic videos, but I remember at the time I was thinking to myself, like, this is a really high budget for like a YouTube channel. I remember being like amazed, like back in like the late 2000s when I was watching this. And obviously their quality has garnered them into making a lot of feature films. I think I've seen every given horror film that they've done, starting from Devil's Due, which was a found footage film about a woman pregnant with a demon baby. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but I think that's pretty much the plot of it. They've contributed to VHS. They did a movie called Southbound. They did Ready or Not. They've done the recent Scream films, and now they've done Abigail. And after seeing this film, I've confirmed that these directors, Matt Bettinelli, Olpin, and Tyler Gillett, I think they're probably my top favorite directors. They just always seem to make these movies that I thoroughly enjoy. I'm a fan of the horror genre, and they always find these creative ways to push the genre and just make them not only like effective, but fun. You're actually like enjoying the content and just the premise of it. And Abigail is a really good example of this. So Abigail is about a group of criminals who are hired to kidnap a young girl and watch over her for the duration of 24 hours at a mansion. But during this time, they figure out that they've actually kidnapped a vampire, or so they think, because they also realize that they're locked in this mansion and they fall victim to this vampire. Explaining the plot, you kind of gathered that these are potentially really terrible people in this film, and it might be like really hard to follow them throughout, but the film actually does a really good job in explaining some of the characters' backstories, and also in this realm of, even though they're not supposed to be saying their own names or giving their backstories, we're able to collectively figure out why the characters are there in the first place, and they're given motives as to why would they go this far to kidnap this young girl. And even if you're not necessarily on all the characters' sides, the film does an excellent job at making the characters somewhat likable. You love their interactions and how they do certain things and what they contribute to this gig that they're doing. And they also do a really good job in setting up this universe that they're in. When they find out that the girl that they've kidnapped is actually the daughter of this crime lord, even though they're getting $7 million from this one gig, they're like, we've got to get the fuck out of here. Like, no, we're done. I want to leave. And I think that's another point of the movie that I want to acknowledge as well, is even if this wasn't a vampire movie, it actually takes a long time for the vampire stuff to happen. I would say like probably 40 to 50 minutes within the film. But if that was taken out of the film, I think this still would be a very effective movie. Without appealing too much to the pop culture of Gen Z, I would have to say that this is very much like Among Us. They start to realize that like there are deaths happening at the beginning of this film, and they're trying to figure out exactly who's committing these murders, because clearly it's not this young girl, right? Because she's handcuffed to a bed upstairs. So they're trying to figure out who's killing off one another one by one. But then once we reach the second act of the film, we start to realize it's actually this young girl as a vampire. And it kind of seems like the genre switch a little bit, but it still is able to maintain this fun tone of these group of people interacting with each other. And speaking of which, this young actress, Alicia Weir, does such an amazing job within this film. And I can't imagine the difficulty-ness of her portraying this character, because not only is she portraying this vampire, she is portraying herself to be a young girl who is actually a vampire. So it's essentially an actress acting like she's acting within the film. I also love the correlation of ballet in this film, because not only does it just look comedic when this young girl is prancing around and eating people alive, it actually plays a major part into the story and the lore of vampires. I saw this movie with my girlfriend, so I'm gonna credit her. She's gonna get on to me if I don't credit her in this, but she actually made a really good point, because she was in ballet a long time ago, where in the beginning of the film, the music that the girl is balleting to is that of Swan Lake, which if you don't know, that is a production that involves a woman who is human at night, but during the day she turns into a swan. And Swan Lake's music is also apparently in the movie Dracula. So I love these themes of transformation and just like the subtleties of like other vampire movies that are implemented into this film. And I didn't even know this until watching the film without even going to the spoilers. The name Abigail is actually a reference to another Universal monster film from 1936, which I'm not going to reference because it could be a potential spoiler for the ending of the film. And I just love how the film pays homage to different vampire movies and what it's done to pop culture, especially in horror. I was very happy to see Melissa Barrera in this film. I am saddened that she's not going to be in Scream 7. I don't necessarily want to get into politics. I know that we all have our different stances on things, but just the given fact that she is not in Scream 7 and that character is not returning, it makes me very sad. But the fact that she is still working with these directors and she does an excellent job at portraying this character who is a mother herself, and she finds out last minute that the person that they're kidnapping is actually a child, you kind of feel for her. Dan Stevens also does an excellent job. And it's kind of weird seeing him after Godzilla vs. Kong New Empire last month, where he's like this Australian guy, and now he's portraying this guy from New York. He has this very authentic New York accent. Just shows that he has so much range. I think Hollywood definitely needs to utilize him more. I've loved him since The Guest. So yeah, I hope he gets more work after this because he was excellent in this. And again, I can't preface enough the balance and tone in this film because clearly we're watching a horror film, but it's funny when the actual horror is happening and you still get a laugh where a character is like, what the f***? What the f***? When this like ballerina girl is flying. It's very similar to Jack Quaid like saying, holy shit, it's Ghostface in Scream 5. It's just something I've noticed throughout these radio silence movies where they are scary, but when the characters react and they're like, what the f***? It's just the funniest thing ever, and I love it. I would say where the movie jumbles for me a little bit is the last act. I thought it was visually appealing and the fight scenes were great, but certain character motivations didn't really sink in with me. You kind of wonder why this certain character takes this literal turn in the film, and you kind of are just like, why are you doing this though? Like, I understand that's kind of like a power move, but it's why are you going after this character now? So I think that's where the film kind of struggles for me. But overall, I just thought it was entertaining overall, and just seeing the vampire action happen. It's a really good modern day vampire film. It's been a long time since I've seen a vampire film where I'm like, that was good. I think the last vampire film that I really, really liked was probably, I don't know, Fright Night 2011. It's been quite a minute since I've seen a vampire film. Maybe I'm just not thinking of like some relevant ones. If you guys think that there are some vampire films that I should check out, because I'm definitely looking for some films to review around Halloween time, comment down below and I'll take a look at those vampire films. But in terms of this film, I absolutely loved it, and it just proves that I am probably just always going to be there for a radio silence film. These directors really know how to make a horror film entertaining, and I can't wait to see what they do in the near future. So yeah, guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And guys, we are almost near to 1,000 subscribers. This is crazy for me because I just started doing YouTube again back in January. So thank you guys so much for the amount of support. Hopefully we can get to that by the end of April or latest early May. So yeah, I just want to thank you guys so much for just subscribing and supporting the channel. It means a lot. And without further ado, I'm Corbin Stuckey, and thank you for watching.